The book Treasure Island, Chapter 3. The real adventure begins. I said farewell to my beloved mother and the dear Admiral Benbow, and then I joined up with Red Ruth, the squire's gamekeeper. We purchased our tickets for the coach to Bristol, and it picked us up at dusk, and we arrived in Bristol as the sun was rising like a shimmering peach above the city. Squire Trunnion was residing at an inn near the water. Right along the quay lay ships of all different sizes and nations. In one, the sailors were singing as they worked in the morning fog that shrouded the quay. In another, men were high up in the rigging, and they were hanging by threads that seemed sturdier than those of a spider web. An overwhelming smell of tar and salt filled the air. I spotted old sailors with pigtails and rings in their ears. It was all new to me, and I was captivated. We went to see the squire. The squire was dressed like a naval officer in a new suit. "There you are," he cried. "The doctor, he arrived last night. Now our ship's company is complete. We're going to sail early in the morning at first light." The squire handed me a note to carry to Long John Silver. I made my way along the crowded quay, full of people and loaded carts, until I found the tavern. The tavern was brighter and cleaner than I expected. The windows were glistened and the floor was cleanly sanded. The customers were seafaring men, talking loudly and enthusiastically among one another. As I was waiting, a man emerged from the side room, and I guessed Long John Silver. His left leg was missing, and he walked with the aid of a crutch. Left leg is missing. used the crutch with wonderful skill, hopping on it like a sprightly bird. Silver was tall and strong, with a face as big as a ham, yet brimming with intelligence. He whistled as he moved among the tables and had a merry word or a slap on the shoulder for each of his guests. From the first mention of Silver in the squire's letter, I was feared that he might be the very one-legged sailor I had watched out for at the Admiral Benbow. But one look at that man was enough to convince me I had nothing to fear. I had seen the captain. I had seen Black Dog. And I had seen Pew. I thought I knew what a buccaneer looked like, and they were quite different from this clean and likable landlord. Mr. Silver, sir. Yes, lad, he said. When Silver saw I had a letter from the squire, he seemed startled. Oh, he said loudly, you must be the new cabin boy. Just then, one of the customers stood up suddenly and ducked out the door. Although the man made a hurried exit, I had time enough to get a glimpse of his face. It was the man who had visited the captain at the Admiral Benbow. The man with 2 missing fingers. Someone stop him, I cried out. He's Black Dog. 2 of the men who were sitting near the door leaped up and chased after the 8-legged man. What did you say, boy? Long John Silver asked. Black what? Black Dog, I replied. Didn't Mr. Trelawney tell you about the buccaneer? Black Dog was one of them. Was he indeed? Cried Silver. Black Dog, you said? The name's not familiar, yet I think I seen him. He used to come here with a blind beggar. Yes, I said. That would be old Pew. Yes, cried Silver, his voice rising as all kinds of thoughts clearly flooded his mind. Pew! Yes, that was his name, all right. Well, never fear, my men will run him down. However, the moment I saw Black Dog in Silver's tavern, I sensed something was wrong. Why was he there? And Was Silver telling the truth when he said he didn't know him? I watched Silver closely, but he continued to create the impression that he was an honest man. 2 men came back out of breath and confessed they had lost Black Dog in the crowd by the quay. Silver scolded them and shook his head in a display of disappointment. Well, Hawkins, said Silver, we better go and tell the squire about this. Oh, this scoundrel is sitting in my house, right in front of me. We wouldn't want the squire to get the wrong idea now, would we? We walked along the quay, and Silver proved himself a most interesting companion. We stopped beside a large sailing ship, and he showed the different parts and proper names for each one. Is in the front. Back. Right. Left. He showed me the forecastle in the front of the ship and the quarterdeck toward the back. He pointed out the main mast, and the crow's nest on top. The crow's nest was the spot where the sailors went to keep a lookout. He explained the cables that the sailors used to raise a sail were called halyards. He had me repeat the phrases until I could recite them perfectly. I knew he was the best possible shipmate for a novice sailor like me. When we got to the inn, Silver gave Mr. Trelawney and Dr. Livesey the account of all that happened. I won't stand for scoundrels of that sort in my tavern, he said. There was not much chance of me catching him myself with the old timber I hobble on, so I sent 2 of my mates after him. Thought maybe they might catch him, but in the end, he slipped away. And that's what happened. Isn't it, Hawkins? It is, I said. The doctor and the squire were sorry that Black Dog had escaped, but they agreed there was nothing else that could be done. Then Silver paid me a compliment. This is a fine lad that you've signed up, he said. A good fellow and smart as paint. And I was pleased with this compliment, and I smiled as Silver hobbled away. All hands on deck at 4 o'clock this afternoon, the squire shouted after him. Yes, sir, cried Silver. Well, said Dr. Livesey to the squire, as rule, I don't put much faith in your discoveries, but that John Silver suits me. Yes, said the squire, he's quite a remarkable man. Later, we boarded the ship while the supplies were being loaded. As soon as we were on board, the captain paid us a visit. Well, Captain Smolin, said the squire, how are you? All's well with you, I hope? I am well, sir, said the captain, but I must tell you I have a bad feeling about this voyage, and I don't care for some of the seamen that you have hired. The squire was extremely offended by his remark. Perhaps you don't like your employer either, replied the squire. But here the doctor cut in. Hold on, Trelawney. Trelawney, said the doctor. Let's hear what Captain Smollett has to say. Captain Smollett addressed the doctor. I was engaged to sail the ship where you gentlemen would bid me. But now I find that every seaman on the board, he knows more than I do. I hear that we are going after treasure. I don't like to involve myself in secret treasure voyages, especially when the secret is no longer a secret. Why, even a parrot seems to know our business. You mean Silver's parrot? Asked the squire. Gentlemen, do you understand what you are getting into? Came the captain's reply. I certainly do, said the squire. Please explain, said the doctor. What is it that you don't like about the crew? I should be able to pick them myself, explained the captain, Smollett. I do not approve of your officer. He's a good seaman, but he's too friendly, familiar with, if you like, with the crew. And another thing, their men are putting guns and powder in the forehold. I don't like that. Why not put them underneath the cabin and give your own people the berths? Anything else? Asked the squire. Yes, said the captain. I've heard the exact latitude and longitude of our island location. I heard you have a map of the island. I've even heard the map shows the exact location of treasure. Like all good treasure maps should. Egad, cried the squire. I didn't tell a soul about any of this. Gentlemen, continued the captain, I don't know who has the map, but I ask it be kept somewhere secret, even from me. If you won't do that, I would ask you to let me resign. I see, said the doctor. You are afraid the men might mutiny. Sir, said the captain, they may be honest men, for all I know, but I am responsible for the ship's safety and the life of every man aboard it. I'm concerned, and I ask you to be cautious, or let me resign. That's all. Trelawney grumbled, but eventually he agreed. I will do as you ask, he said, sighing deeply, but it grieves me that you don't trust me. As you please, sir, said Captain Smollett. You find I do my duty. And then left. Trelawney, said the doctor, I believe you have at least 2 good men on board. That man and John Silver. Silver, perhaps, cried the squire, still in a huff, but I believe Captain Smollett to be difficult and downright rude. Rude. Well, said the doctor, we shall see. Early the next morning, we lifted anchor and set sail. The Hispaniola began her voyage to Treasure Island. The Hispaniola proved to be a good ship. The captain and the crew were very capable. I was especially fond of Long John Silver, or Barbecue, as some of the men called him. He was always glad to see me in the ship's gallery. Gallery. It was clean as a pin. The old cook even introduced me to his pet parrot. This is Captain Flint, he said, named for the famous buccaneer, and she predicts success for the voyage. Right, Captain? I wondered as his choice of a name. Then the parrot squawked, "Pieces of 8! Pieces of 8!" That bird is maybe 200 years old, said Silver. If anyone has seen more wickedness, must be the devil himself. She sailed with Captain England, the pirate. I reckon that's how she learned about pieces of 8. Silver gave the bird a lump of sugar and smiled in a way that made me think that he was either the best of men or the worst of men. All the crewmen respected and obeyed Silver. He had a way of talking to everybody and doing each one some particular service. He's no common man, Barbecue, said Israel Hands, one of the crew. He can talk like a book when he wants, and he's brave. A lion's got nothing alongside him. I've seen him, unarmed, grapple 4 men and knock their heads together. I had no doubt that Long John Silver was a man to be reckoned with.